What's up, YouTube? It's been a few weeks. Had some shit going on around the house and took a week off and did a little traveling. Was in Texas for a week and visiting family. So, luckily enough, right before I left, I finally got the parts I've been waiting for. I've had these ordered from Detroit Speed for, I want to say I ordered them in June or July. It is now almost Halloween. They finally arrived last week. So they look really good though. Kind of hope it's worth the wait. But I wanted to get all the parts and do all this stuff, and hopefully today will be at least getting the rear suspension done, and then the next time I'll do the front. So I did do some work in between then and now. I just didn't capture any video of it. I'm actually going to make a video of that in the next month or so about the firewall modifications. I went and did some finish welding up on there. I'm still not done. I still got a few spots that I need to clean up. But actually I got a lot more work to do on this, but that'll be coming up in future videos. Today it is getting the rear suspension connected to the car and then getting it off these janky blocks and jack stand setup that I've got. So what I want to do is get the leaf pockets first and the leaves connected, and in order to do that I've actually got to spread these leaf pockets just a hair so that the new bushings that are not collapsed or squished to fit in there. And what I'm going to do here, I'm going to use a bolt and big washers and 2 bolts, and I'm just going to spread them apart just to give me enough room so I can clear that on there. And then after I get that done, I'm actually going to start putting some of this old shit back on the car. So I've got my, and this really isn't old, these are new. I actually bought these a couple years ago when I cut off the old subframe connectors that I talked about in previous videos. So that'll go on there as well, because these have to go above the spring pocket if I recall correctly. I don't recall 100%, so I'm going to go figure it out while I'm doing all this. So I'll shoot some more clips here as I get things progressing. Alright, we're going to call it a video here. We're going to probably title this "The Suspension Strikes Back," because man, what a pain in the ass this was. So before I show you any of the details, the car is sitting on the rear axle. I kind of want it a little lower, but I won't know for sure until obviously I get the front done, and then engine, motor, drive shaft, all that stuff in the car, glass, to see where it actually, where the stance finally is. But it doesn't look too bad. It is lower than it was before, but not by much. Maybe a 1/2 inch, and these are supposed to be 2-inch drop springs. But again, there's no weight in the car. The old springs, you can see here, they're pretty old. I'm pretty sure those are the originals. Definitely wanted to replace them regardless. All the shackles, all the pads inside, they were all rotted. So it was crusty looking, so time to refresh it. So let's get up underneath here and show you what's going on. And hopefully there's enough light that this picks this up. And it doesn't look like it. So let me get the camera. Let me get the light. Alright, now that I got some light underneath here, let me show you this real quick. Ignore the rear end. It's got to be taken out again so I can paint it. It's just, this is all for the mock-up, right? The rear end is not entirely centered underneath here. I have to still do a lot of measurements, but right now I'm just trying to get everything bolted up so the car can sit down on the ground. I'll align everything much later on when I do this front subframe, the rear end, do all those measurements and get it taken care of. So I'm just going to show you the stuff we're doing here in the mock-up phase. So here are the new Detroit Speed offset shackles. You can see here it moves the leaf spring from the rear of the car inboard. Now, originally it's about there, right? So what happens is these leaf springs come at an angle from the front and they tip out to the rear of the car. Now they're more parallel. So you can see how much tire clearance I've got. There's another 3 inches or so, maybe more. And kind of see it where it meets the frame rail as well. So you see it's a full 3 inches or so. So all of this back here is new. So offset shackle, leaf spring, the new pad that it's adjustable. Those will be welded on later. And then new U-bolts, and there's a shock bracket. Now this, I am not sure if I have these right. I gotta go look it up because their instructions didn't have which way it's supposed to be, and I'm almost positive that the 70 to 74 Novas, with this kit, the shock is supposed to be behind the axle. If you look over on the driver's side, that shackle is for the front side. If you flipped it around, it would be towards the tire, which is not the way it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be on the inside so that it can actually get up to the forgetting the word of it, the brace, the DSC brace that I put in the center of the car, where I had to cut a hole in the trunk and weld that all in. So I think that's the wrong one. I'm not sure. Again, I got to go look on DSC's site, their videos, make sure I got this right. So, but that's all the new stuff. Not even going to do the shocks at this point, because what happens is all this new undercoating and primer that I put underneath the car, I got to grind some of it off on that brace and weld the upper bracket to that brace, and then I got to repaint that area. But that's, you know, that much. It's not a big deal. So this is the saga of the rear end. It's not completely done yet because I got some drama with the bolts. So on the front, I'll show it to you here. These bolts are just putting in here for the time being. So this bolt is actually supposed to be coming in from the other side, but they're different bolts on both sides. I don't know why I didn't even realize it till I was futzing around with this. This bolt's got fine thread, the other side's got coarse thread. I'm positive it's supposed to be coarse thread. The bolt on the other side is 1.5 inches too long, so what happens is when you push it through on this side, the bolt literally sticks out past the pinch weld here like a 1/2 inch or something. It's a little ridiculous, and I don't want to see that, right? I don't think anybody's going to be able to see these bolts when the car's, you know, on the ground, when the stance is all set and done, but it's one of those things, you know, it's there, right? I don't want the bolt sticking, you know, a good 1/2 inch past the pinch weld, so I'm going to order new hardware for that. So right now they're just in to hold the car or hold the suspension in place. It's also some of the drama I got going on with the front end, because once I got this all done, I decided to move on to the front of the car. So I've got the uppers put in because the uppers came with hardware. Now the lowers didn't come with new hardware, and the lowers, you know, the lower bolts are just like the rear end. They're all mismatched bolts. They're different lengths, different threads, different. Some are metric, some are imperial. It's just like, really, what's going on here? So I'm just going to order all new bolts for the lower control arms, and it really sucks because I just got a shipment this week of stuff from Classic Industries. You know, new inner outer tie rods, the J clips, which I'll talk about in just a second for you guys. Bolts for the J clips. I'm still missing. I ordered bearings and stuff for the front spindles. So, you know, now I got to place another order and pay shipping twice. So that sucks. All right, so here's the J clips I was talking about in the previous videos. You can see here, it's not very thick metal. It's pretty thin. In fact, I'd say that's 20 gauge steel. I can pull out a mic and show you, but it's not that thick. And after 20, 30 years of corrosion, these things can snap very easily, but that's what holds that leaf pocket in place. So this is what broke on the guy that decided to redneck engineer this car with JB Weld on the bolts. Of course, then I further did some redneck engineering and, you know, welded most of them to the chassis permanently. I can actually show it to you. They still have the patch open. I didn't close it out. I'm not going to until I'm done messing around with the suspension, because the leaf springs got to come back out again when I pull the rear end out to paint it, and then of course I got to do a bunch of measurements and put the bolts in. So who knows, I may break these bolts, but I kind of doubt it. Some of them are really welded in pretty good. So that's one of those. You can't see it in this one here, but this is where that J-clip is. The third one is somewhere in this part of the rear floor pan, which I didn't want to cut open because, you know, it's all branded metal. I don't want to mess with it any more than I have to. So this is the saga of suspension on this car. So what I'm going to do is order the suspension hardware, and hopefully next video we'll have it all buttoned up, bolted on, the car on all four wheels. I need to do that because I need to actually get this car out in the driveway, pull in my daily driver so I can replace the brakes on it. I'm like 2 years overdue on it. Thankfully with COVID I haven't been driving that much, so you know, it's been needing it for 2 years, and I've just been focused on this piece of crap. So this needs to be on a rolling chassis, out in the driveway, get my daily driver in here, do the brakes on it real quick, then roll this back in and continue work on it. So hopefully the next video we'll get to that, and hopefully I didn't just jinx myself. But if you guys have any questions, comments, whatever, drop them down. Hit subscribe, like if you could. I appreciate it. I'll catch you next time, guys. Thanks.